Today on the podcast, we'd like to introduce Ashlee Bradshaw, Public Information and Engagement Specialist for the Kyle Police Department in Kyle, Texas. Ashlee, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Robert. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Ashlee. I kind of came in contact with you because you had some interest and potential being on the show. And that's great because whenever I get people contacting us and wanting to be on, that means they have something interesting to offer. But I want to get basics out of the way first. So let's talk about, for people that don't know where Kyle, Texas is, where is it located at in Texas?
Yes. So we are actually right in between Austin and San Antonio. We're probably, I would say, 20 minutes south of Austin and about 40 minutes north of San Antonio.
Okay. And what's the demographic of the city, the population wise? And then how many sworn and how many civilian professional staff does the department have?
Last I looked, we were at like 60,000 and growing. I think we're one of the fastest growing cities as with the rest of the Austin metro area in the U.S. right now. And our agency I believe we're at 74 sworn and 40 professional staff.
Okay, so a fairly decent sized number of staff for 60,000. You probably can always use more, right? Always.
Always.
So let's talk about your background. How did you come to work for the Cal Police Department?
So I actually served on the city council here in Kyle for 3 years. I did one term. I realized I was not the politician. I'm just someone who truly loves my community. And I wanted to make a positive impact for the people in Kyle. And so I served my term and then obviously learned a lot, especially about just the partnership between municipal government and the community that they serve. And I think that's really kind of what helped me transition into this role. Aside from my background, I've got over a decade of public relations and marketing experience, but I felt like that just really was the final piece to the puzzle to help me seamlessly kind of fall into a position like this. After my term ended, this position became available and it was,
Okay. I like that. I like the way that sounds. So you're definitely into service for your community, obviously. Wanting to become a council person, that in itself is a whole different world. You know, the politics, small town politics can become daunting,
yes.
to say the least. So if you're willing to do that, being a PIO is easy work, I'm sure for you. So let's talk about some of the challenges that you first encountered when you came into the PD. What did you encounter when you first got there?
Well, I would say I wouldn't call it a challenge, but it was definitely something that took a lot of brain power to navigate. I'm the first PIO in our department, so we haven't had an official PIO before. So I've really had to kind of navigate what that looks like for our agency, set up the SOPs. I'm working on the crisis communications policy with our professional standards commander, also the strategic plan, and really just kind of navigating the path of what the PIO role is here at KPD.
Okay, so you were definitely a trailblazer then. If you're basically starting it from the ground up, writing policy and SOP, and then you're doing your communication strategy and your crisis communications plan, that's a lot of work. I mean, that's daunting in itself to first encounter. I'm new to this. What do I do? And you're like, you can do whatever you want.
Well, daunting is not the word I would use. I appreciate the challenge and it's actually helped me learn so much more. I actually sought out your PIO podcast after one of my recent trainings just because I love learning and I'm always wanting to learn and grow. So I feel like those tasks really kind of helped me develop in this position, but also really set a positive tone. And for whoever comes in after me or, any sort of team that we acquire while I'm here, they'll be set up for success. So I really enjoyed that process.
That's awesome. Whenever you can leave a legacy behind, that's great. And you've done it. That's awesome. All right. So KPD, since you've been there, what kind of social media or I should say they may have had social media before, but what are you currently running right now?
So we're on most of them, although I'm seeing this blue sky is popping up everywhere. We haven't hopped on board with that yet.
Don't.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I really would just rather wait it out and see what happens there before diving in. But we're on the big ones, the Facebook, the Instagram. Nextdoor is also is a great place for information dissemination for us. X, of course, a lot of media is on X. So we really try to cover all the bases whenever we put something out.
Yeah, Blue Sky is kind of like it's been out there a little while. It was created by the former CEO of X or Twitter, and he created it as an alternative. But the reality of it is you're never going to get enough people there. It's not even worth the effort to try right now. And yeah, it's just not worth it. So one of the things you contacted me about, and this is why I was really interested in talking to you, is working to connect with teens and the 20 something crowd. That I think is something that law enforcement struggles with across the board. What are you doing to do it? And what are your thoughts about it?
We're actually really fortunate. We have a community college just literally right down the road. We could probably throw a rock to it. So we have a college campus right next to our PD. We regularly visit there. We also go and will teach or just stop by and visit our local high schools and engage like face to face human interaction. We have internships for high school and college students, which has been really great. And it's also helped not only me, but our community outreach. We really try to ask them questions, pick their brain, and understand where they're coming from and their experience from their life perspectives on how we can connect with and engage with more people in that age range. Leveraging Instagram has actually been great. A lot of them aren't on Facebook, I've learned. So anytime we can utilize a social media platform that's going to help reach them where they're at, especially when it comes to putting out, emergency information and things like that, that's been really helpful. And hopefully soon we will start our own Explorer or some type of youth citizens police academy here at Kyle.
Excellent. So I'm interested to hear about. You said high school internships. That's not something a lot of police departments have going on. What kind of internships are you doing with high school kids?
So they come in and they essentially get to visit with every division within the police department. We put them through what we would do the same for like a citizens police academy, where they get to learn all aspects of the police department, from dispatch to records to even visiting with me and getting to see what I do for the day. They come in during school hours, and honestly, this group of kiddos we have this year, I'm very excited. I didn't get to meet or get to know the last year's as well, but I'm very excited for the kiddos this year. I've already asked them a few questions just about fentanyl overdoses and things like that, because it's good for me to know what they're hearing and what they're learning and what they're responding to, because a lot of times they feel like they're being lectured, and we don't want to present information that way.
And they don't listen when they're being lectured to. So I mean, they want to have a give and take, and I think that's important to engage them because that, especially fentanyl, it's such a dangerous drug, and we're doing still in law enforcement still struggles to connect with that age group to talk about such a dangerous topic. Yeah, anybody that can have that conversation with a teenager about fentanyl, more power to you. That's awesome.
Yes, I think
Ashley,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. I was
No,
I
no,
was
go
going
ahead.
to say, I think the internships being here have been more invaluable to me than maybe I have been to them at this point, but I've really appreciated their perspective and learning from them.
Now, how do you select the kids for the internship?
That's all done through our community outreach officer. I know that there's an application process and they have certain requirements. I believe they have to be in some sort of criminal justice or law class at high school. I'm not sure. I think they do top of class for the college internships, those who are majoring in criminal justice. Yeah, but it's an application process.
Okay, excellent. All right, so let's talk about your background in interpersonal communication. How has that helped you cultivate your connections with the Kyle community?
Well, we already touched on it a little bit. I feel like interpersonal skills and communication, it's not just about speaking to someone, it's about really engaging in conversation and putting out information and sharing things in a way that people are going to receive, right? And also opening yourself up, of course, to feedback, questions, comments, concerns, and just really having a two-way channel or an open dialogue. And I think that that's really helped me in this position, because I see a lot of people in similar roles to me. They're putting out information and they're just saying what needs to be said rather than, really creating a dialogue with their community and allowing for the questions and the comments and responding to those too. I know it's a lot to keep up with on social media, but it's so important to have that communication.
I agree. And those communities that don't do either town halls or have a coffee with the chief or coffee with a cop and have those little back and forths, they're missing out on that ability to hear the community in a less formal atmosphere, and also when they're not complaining. Because let's face it, when they're sending in the complaint about something that happened to them, or the most interactions with law enforcement are negative to begin with, when they have that individual positive interaction, that's where the relationships really get built.
Yeah, and I think that we're very fortunate to have the partnership that we do with our community because it's essentially to the point where there are eyes in our ears where we can't see or hear. So our community members are very comfortable bringing things to us, whether it be just a public safety concern in their neighborhood, a specific traffic area, that they've noticed a lot of accidents or just traffic violations in general. And so I think that, truly public safety is a partnership between law enforcement and the community. So it's been immensely beneficial for us.
Outstanding. So, Ashley, you have talked about public relations and strategy and communication strategy planning. In general, what are you going to do and how are you going to do it in your relationship in communicating with the community?
Okay, can you repeat that?
All right. So I actually screwed the question up, so I'm going to repeat it again. Good public relations is about having a strategy, and you've kind of talked about you're in the process of working on that. So planning in general, what are you going to do and how do you do it in a relationship to communicate with the community? And what are the secondary benefits of good public relationship?
Well, I think being as proactive as possible. We learn crisis communications is like 5% of what we actually do. So anytime you have the opportunity to be proactive, whether it's putting content out there, highlighting, excellent officer work, or even getting a calendar of notable law enforcement dates, or just notable calendar dates in general to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving like we just had, or, anything along those lines, being proactive and really just putting out information and communications in a way that are going to help your community learn more about your agency, learn more about your officers, and just feel more comfortable with you. And the more that they know about you, the better. Also, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, keep going.
I was
You're
going to
doing
say
great.
also having those community events like you mentioned earlier, the coffee with the chief and all that. We love that here at KPD. So that's something that we do at least quarterly. And whether it's an open house or, coffee, we actually did a Pops with the Cops event, and that was huge.
Nice.
Families came out in droves. They loved it. So anytime that you can get your officers and again, just that face-to-face contact and interaction with your community, you go
Does
ahead.
your department do like a trunk or treat or anything like that for Halloween?
So the city hosts one and we're a
Okay.
part of it, but we don't have our own.
That's fine. I was just saying that one couple of the departments have started doing that out by me lately, and I thought that those were really great ways. Obviously, giving kids candy is always an interesting way to have a conversation with them. But yeah,
Anytime you can offer some sort of sweet treat, people will
oh
show.
yeah, absolutely. Cops and donuts, right?
Yeah.
So, Ashley, you talked about internships and college. Almost every agency in the country is struggling in maintaining and recruiting new personnel. How is the Kyle Police Department managing that process through your office?
So funny enough, actually, I didn't get a chance to answer it. I went off on the community events and being proactive with, putting information and content out to connect with your community. But one of the secondary benefits that we've seen here at our agency from just our social media, and then also I've created a recruitment website, a specific recruitment website separate from the city police department website where it's streamlined recruitment information and you can connect almost immediately with a recruitment officer. So between that, the recruitment officer and the social media platforms, we've seen an increase in our numbers here for recruitment. And we actually just did a survey. And all of the applicants who filled out the survey. 42% of them said that they came from either they discovered KPD through social media or through which is incredible because that's almost half of the recruits.
That's a nice bang for the buck there with social media because that's amazing because you just said something caught my ear. You have almost immediate contact to a recruitment officer through the website.
Yeah, so they essentially enter their information and we're calling them back right away.
Wow. Now that I'll tell you that personal contact is so important because I have heard this from people before. They've called, they wanted to get more information about something they saw, but and then they call and you get a call back a week or 2 weeks later or an email that's it's not polished, it's not professional, and it's a couple words, it's not even answering their question all the way. So the fact that you have that is another way to show your commitment to recruitment, but also the professionalism of your department.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I give credit to our recruitment officers for staying on top of that. All I did was build it out, and they're the ones who take the connection and really get to know our potential applicants.
Where are you guys staffing wise right now?
As far as
Are you full up on staff right now or
I think
on
we
officers?
have last testing date, I think we were at 8 vacancies.
That's still not too bad. I've heard there's some agencies that are down 75%. There's one like Chicago up here. It's a big department, but at any given time they could have 1,200, 1,500 people out in medical, and they're down 2,000 people right now.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
That-
that you hear numbers like that, and you go, oh my god, and they're manned for 12,500 people, and they're down 2,000, and another 2,000 are out in medical. A lot of people that are not on the streets doing what they need to do.
Yes.
Ashley, since you've been there, what changes, if any, would you like to make to your current position?
Oh goodness, if I could just have some more time in the day, that would be wonderful. Maybe
Isn't
an
that
extra
always
set
our
of hands.
battle? Time? Yeah.
I just
Cloning yourself, right?
Yes, I love my job and I love what I do so much. I feel like I am just constantly, there's an 8-hour workday just isn't long enough for everything that I want to accomplish. So,
So let's talk about that after the 8. Do you get called out on
so
stuff?
not, no, not to scenes, not yet. We haven't had any incidents that would even require that to this point.
Knock on wood.
Yes, thank you. But I do work evenings and weekends. I try to attend anytime there's an officer present at an event or whatever that may be. I do try to be there. I always like to capture any sort of pictures or video or anything like that that I can, especially of our officers interacting with the community because it's a great way to welcome people. Maybe if they missed this event, welcome them to the next one.
Right, right. Absolutely. That's awesome. All right, Ashley, let me talk about this. AI is a massive thing right now. Can we talk about the use of AI? Have you utilized any in your current position?
Yeah, so Chat GPT, it's all the rave right now. I think it's great. It's free. It's wonderful for utilizing it to plan calendars like I talked about earlier, or build out the framework of whatever project you may have. It's a great assistant in that way. But what I see a lot of and what I would just discourage other PIOs or communicators from doing is to letting it be the voice of your brand or
Okay,
of
yeah.
your agency and really just letting that be authentic and come from you as opposed to AI.
I would hope nobody's using it to write their voice and to write every. I mean, it is great. I'll tell you, I have written a number of papers, and one of the things that I use for it is helping me write an outline. Give me because sometimes it makes a leap that your brain just didn't make, and that's where I found it's very helpful. And also in like doing some workflow things, I found that it's very helpful if you can. It helps you manage workflow and project management stuff. That's helpful as well. Sometimes content. Just the month of December or the month. October, I do it like when I was in my department, I did October, and this was right early when AI was out. Is I did 31 days of crime prevention. I said I need 31 topics for posts for social media. I need it for all these platforms. It put it all together, and I just changed some wording, and it saved me an immense amount of time.
Yeah, I just used it to help me create a spreadsheet of information. I had a list of emails that I had to separate for name, agency position and email. And it helped create a code that I essentially just copied and pasted into Microsoft Excel, which I didn't even know that it could do, but it was great. So yes, definitely utilizing it to help you work smarter, not harder. But again, yeah, I would just encourage anybody just making sure that they're staying authentic to their brand voice.
Yep. And the other thing I think I've seen that's something very good for websites is using an AI chatbot to answer questions. They're your typical FAQ questions, but it goes a little bit more in depth. And I think that is one of the things that we're going to see building out on websites more and more, because that is exactly what the language learning models are meant for, is to help it find information and curate it quickly. So I can see a lot of websites that eventually being offered there.
Yeah, I listened to your last episode that came out. I cannot remember the company, Principal something. She had a great perspective on.
Yep. Uh, Parthamos, Lauren Parthamos. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. She is the stuff that she's doing with AI. And then there's another attorney, or not an attorney, a public relations owner of a CEO company in New York, where he has implemented ChatGPT. Actually has an entire model that jumps over ChatGPT, and it goes throughout their firm. They actually have he's offered out to the public. It's a free press release model. So basically you punch in the information you want. It'll give you your basics for your press release. It'll even put your boilerplate information into it.
Girl.
And then you can turn around and clean it up any way you want. It's called Write Release is what it is. So if you want to Google that and put it in, it's free to use, and it certainly saves you time when you've got to try and write something. It asks you the appropriate questions, and it gives you the real nice wording for it.
Right. Release AP style and everything.
Everything.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. I'm looking at that. I'm like, that is outstanding. Yeah. And this guy has been involved in it since 2020, like early AI stuff. So
Wow.
yeah. All right, Ashlee, is there a question I should have asked? And if so, how would you have answered it?
Goodness. I don't know. I don't have anything for that. And nothing that I can think of off the top of my head, but we're coming off the heels of a holiday and moving into another one. So I feel like
Oh, yeah. All right, I get it. I wanted to ask you, are you guys using TikTok at all?
no. So in Texas, I believe Governor.
You guys are, yeah. Yep, restriction, yeah. And I know depending on what happens with the federal law, we'll see what happens with that. Are you using Instagram in that method? With the short videos, things like that?
Short-term videos, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're getting ready to amp it up quite a bit more. I've got a list of video content that I need to get to.
Outstanding. All right, Ashlee, so let's go into some rapid fire questions.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Texting or talking?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Texting or talking?
Depends on the message, but probably texting. Quick and efficient.
Movies or books?
I like nonfiction books, but I also enjoy a good movie. Let's go with books.
Okay, who's your favorite writer?
Who's my favorite writer? Well, nonfiction, so that's kind of hard. I do a lot of personal development, professional development.
Okay.
I'm really big into Judy Powell right now, so.
She's awesome. She's the
Yeah.
best. Yeah, she is the queen of public relations, law
One of
enforcement
the
communication.
originals.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. She is the OG. Adult drink of choice.
I don't drink.
Okay. Coffee, tea, or energy drink.
Tea all day.
What would be your superpower if you could have one?
Mind reading.
Wouldn't that be great? Ask permission or beg for forgiveness.
I want to say ask for permission strategically.
Very well said. What place would you most like to travel to?
Greece.
What's your favorite way to relax after a long day? Who, if you could choose to have coffee or tea with any historical figure, living or dead, who would it be?
Cleopatra.
Interesting choice. All right.
Thank you.
Final thoughts, Ashlee. What key points would you like our listeners to take from the interview today?
Focus on connection.
That's a good one. As we wrap this up, is there a piece of wisdom or a motto that you live by?
I wouldn't call it a motto, but just always trying to do your best and be your best. I love learning. I love growing. And I would just encourage everybody else to do the same, because at the end of the day, life's all about growth and become the best version of yourself.
That's outstanding. How can people best reach you if they want to connect or follow up?
I'm on LinkedIn under Ashlee Bradshaw. That's Ashlee.
I know I spelled that wrong. So
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. Everybody does it. And honestly, I blame my mom for misspelling it. But she wanted me to be unique. So
Well, thank you very much for being on the show. You are a powerhouse. I think that's going to become bigger and bigger as time goes on. You're probably going to move on from Kyle at some point and go to a better department or a bigger agency because you definitely have the skill set for it. And I was just happy to have you as a guest when you're, just a little PIO in Kyle, Texas.
thank you. Thank you. I don't know if I'll leave. I love our Chiefs. So maybe if they go, then I'll follow. But
There you go.
yes, I
Awesome.
love what I do and I love our agency. So thank you for this opportunity. Your show has been so helpful as a semi-new PIO, invaluable, honestly. So I'm so grateful that I stumbled upon it and you've been more helpful than maybe you even know.
Well, that's humbling to say the least because this has been a passion project for me for the last going into my 5th year in January. It started out as a way to stay connected when I retired from the field and was looking. And now it's just become something that I love doing and I love sharing the information with everybody else. And that's kind of where it's got me, just having a lot of fun doing it.
It's appreciated. I think I discovered your podcast in September and I went back and listened to almost every episode from 2024 so far.
Wow. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
I got a lot of great guests coming up in 2025, which you will be one of them. But yeah, it's a lot of good stuff coming in 2025.
I look forward to it.
Awesome. Ashlee Bradshaw from Public Information Engagement Specialist from the Kyle Police Department. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.